What is the perfect podcast length? When we go for more than 45 minutes, is it too long because A, sort of it's getting a bit exhausting for you, or two, you actually think the audience would sort of switch off and if they see a video that's too long, they wouldn't click onto it, or see it's something else?
B is the biggest one for me because I think of it as if I was consuming a podcast. It depends though, because if you have a podcast and you have like a guest on and it's like an hour episode, you're like, oh yeah, they have a guest, that'll be interesting, I want to see what they have to say. But if it's like, and if it's not a guest, but if there's a lot of topics, you know, like I've actually stopped listening to a lot of podcasts recently. I used to listen to like the regular ones that I'd have, and it'd all just be like 40 minute, 30 minute, 30 minute. And those round numbers, people look at it and they immediately see a round number and they're like, oh, it takes 5 minutes of my time to watch this video. I'll quickly watch it. It's 5 minutes of my time, you know what I mean? And if they see something 10 minutes of my time, 10 minutes. If they see something 46 minutes and 49 minutes or something, it's just weird. I don't know. It's the way that the brain processes things. Everyone's different, you know what I mean? Like, I know a lot of people as well share the same way. I've talked to this about my friends as well. One of my friends is like to me, I can't watch YouTube videos as much anymore because you know how like we're seeing the rise in short form media content. People's attention spans are literally now limited to like 30 seconds to 2 minute videos that they see on TikTok. They see a bang, next on, bang, next on, bang, next on. To the point where my friend was like, if I see a YouTube video that's 10 minutes long, I have to watch it on 2 times speed because it's just too much for me or it's just too long for me. And I was like taken aback. I was like, what? But it makes sense because people they're getting more standardized. The standardized form of content is short form, fast, accessible, easy, Vine, TikTok, that sort of content, you know what I mean? So for me, when I look at a podcast, it like obviously I factor in a lot of different things, but it depends. It depends on the podcast. It depends on how good it is. I mean, I can just, if it's too long, I'll listen to half of it one day and half another day, you know what I mean? Or if it's like doing something, like, because you got to find the time. You need to find the time to be able to sit down and listen to it or like really absorb, especially if it's a guest or if they're talking about concepts which are quite in-depth, deep, and requires higher order. Not that we do that all the time either. We just talk about random shit sometimes, right? But if it does require higher thought processing skills, and you know, sometimes they might need to like sit down for a bit and then schedule time to listen to it, as opposed to just listen to it when you're cleaning, you know what I mean? Because they're not really listening to it then, it's just background noise. So it depends how everyone consumes it. For me personally, I'll look at the time and then based on that, I'll make a judgment immediately. It's so bad. It's honestly bad because it could be a great episode, but that's how I immediately see. I see the time, and then I'll make a judgment as to how I'm going to listen to it. So that's me. What about you? What do you feel?
I think I agree. Shorter form content is the thing, but when it comes to long videos, like I think if someone wants to watch a podcast and they see it's like 50 minutes versus 30 minutes versus 45 versus an hour, it doesn't really make a difference. But if you're saying that if the algorithm were to change towards longer form content, you'd be willing to film long content, then that's understandable. When you're sort of doing this for what you think is sort of the algorithm's pushing for, and I think that's sort of the right mindset. But if it was sort of like out of like exhaustion, or like it's just you personally didn't want to go over 45 minutes, it wasn't like for a different reason, that would be a different conversation where I'd adapt to that. I'd be like, okay, that's the reason. Okay, let's adapt to that reason. But if it was honestly just for the viewers, then I see where you're coming from, Krishn.